United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With us this evening, we have Glenn Boback, trustee, Sherry Steffens, trustee, Jude Kuhn, our district clerk, Dr. Brian Graham, superintendent, I'm Ashley Dreyer, president, Sue Marston, vice president, Joy Lamarca, trustee, Danielle Bruno, trustee, Mike Gloria, assistant superintendent of curriculum, staff development, and human resources, Cheryl Cardone, assistant superintendent of pupil personnel services, and Dr. Robert Merkel, Assistant Superintendent of School Business and Finance. If I could have...
and Jay's online here. He's with me over here.
Oh, okay, and Jay, I'm sorry, and Jay Grover is our trustee joining us, joining us remotely. A couple announcements, if you could all silence your cell phones, please, that would be greatly appreciated. The emergency exits are directly behind me and directly in front of me, in case we need to leave unexpectedly. And if I can have an approval for the agenda for this evening, please, a motion to approve it. And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. Moving on to the next item, if I could have an approval for the minutes from September 5th, please. And a second. All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And with us this evening, we have a couple of ambassadors from the middle school. We'll begin with Glenn Pickering.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Graham, and Grand Island community. We've had a great start to the school year, and I'm going to let Glenn Pickering talk about what we have done to start the school year.
Hi, my name is Glenn Pickering. I am the Public Relations Liaison for the Student Council at Veronica Middle School. This Friday, we are having our first event of the school year. It is our back-to-school barbecue. There will be lots of fun activities like bounce houses and other outside games. There will be a food truck and also a snow cone truck. We have also been working on selling bike-in tickets. These tickets are $30 each and give students access to all of our events and VIP privileges like getting first dibs on going to a bowling event we are having. We are also having a sportswear sale which includes a variety of shirts, sweatshirts, pants, coats, and much more. Thank you.
And our ambassador for the high school, Sophia Tadaro.
Hi, my name is Sophia Tadaro from Grand Island High School. On Wednesday, August 31st, Grand Island High School held their annual freshman orientation. Our parents listened to a presentation from Kids Escaping Drugs while the students took tours around the school building, including the outdoor facilities such as the concession stand and the football field. The students listened to the teachers as they prepared the students for the upcoming school year in the high school. Grand Island High School held our first blood drive of the year last week. Many students participated this year to help save patients through Connect Life. Overall, we had 46 presenting donors, representing another very strong turnout at GIHS. Thank you to Mr. Noason and Connect Life for organizing this event. College representatives have been visiting the guidance office and will continue to for the next few weeks. This gives the juniors and the seniors the opportunity to collaborate and connect with colleges that they are interested in. Seniors have the opportunity this year to paint their own parking spot. The seniors picked a design that they would paint their spot over a select few days. Special thanks to Mrs. Kessel and Ms. Camilleri for bringing this idea to the high school. Grand Island High School hosted our first annual club and extracurricular fair after school on Wednesday, September 20th in the Viking Mall. We had 32 participating clubs. Students had the opportunity to speak with club advisors and other students who are currently members of the clubs. This was a great opportunity for our students to see all of the amazing clubs and extracurricular activities that Grand Island High School has to offer. Friday, October 6th, the seniors will partake in the annual wall signing and senior luncheon. This year's senior luncheon will take place at the Pearl Street Grill. Thank you to all of our facility and staff for helping plan, organize, and chaperone our upcoming Spirit Week starting October 10th and lasting until October 14th. Thursday, October 12th, we have the juniors and seniors participating in the annual Powder Puff game. Friday, October 13th, we have our annual homecoming football game against Lockport. And lastly, Saturday, October 14th is our annual homecoming school dance that takes place right here at Grand Island High School.
Thank you. Okay, and moving on to correspondence, recognition, and good news. We have Popcorn Whiz Kid Grayson Shelf with us.
That's right. Grayson, can you come up to the podium, please? Grayson, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. It's quite remarkable. You've had a long history of selling popcorn at the hardware store right on Whitehaven. Can you just share with the board over the course of time how things have been going with your popcorn sales as a Boy Scout with one of our local troops?
So, my name is Grayson Shelf, and as a Boy Scout, I've been selling at the hardware store since I was 8. And over the years, I have developed how to enjoy and make my most time during the summer, and I found the best way to do that is selling popcorn. So, with selling popcorn, I sell things from kettle corn, caramel corn, to cheddar popcorn, and it gives me a great social action with the community and to also help sometimes a hardware store. And it's nice to see the support from the community with how they help buy popcorn for me so I can go to places where I'm saving up for currently is to go to Poland. That will be the World Jamboree in 2027. So one of the things I do with my funds is that helps me also to go to college to help set my success for the future.
Wow, Grayson, that's remarkable. So over the course of time, in dollars, how much popcorn do you think you've sold, roughly, over the many years since you were 8?
So over the many years, I have sold over $60,000 worth of popcorn.
Wow.
And for the past 3 years, I've been the top seller in east of the Mississippi.
Yeah, congratulations. That's fantastic. That is remarkable. So of course, you're doing that for the Boy Scouts, but it's going to help you achieve a goal of going to Poland for the World Jamboree. Why is that one of your goals? Why is that important to you?
Well, that's important to me because recently during the summer, I went to the National Jamboree, and I went there because I sold popcorn, and my wonderful dad was able to come with me because of my sales. And that made me have so much fun with patch trading, a mile-long zip line, and all these other things. I even got a merit badge done as a Boy Scout. When I heard about the World Jamboree, that's my next big incentive to go to Poland.
That's fantastic. So even during COVID, you were out there, right?
Correct. I never stopped 1 year because of COVID.
Yeah, that's
During COVID, I
fantastic.
made sure.
How did things go this year for you?
This year was my biggest year ever. I sold $15,500, which is $500 more than my top year 2 years ago. And hopefully I can beat that next year.
That's fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for Grayson? Grayson, can we take a picture with you and the board?
Absolutely.
Come on up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
moving on to public comment session, agenda items only. We did not have anyone sign up for that. So we will forge ahead to curriculum and instruction with Mr. Moria.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just 2 items on our curriculum and instruction agenda item. Thank you. So first is just a summer curriculum update that you see the report. I did include in the report this year a copy of our new teacher rotation schedule agenda as well as the staff development day schedule. And we can summarize some of those if you have any questions on it. So let me know. Second item on there, I have it right now as information, but is our Grand Island Central School District Professional Learning Plan. That learning plan we update every year, put it to the website. I just want everyone to know every so many years we go back for a review cycle with the state for them to approve and reapprove our plan. And we just got notice that this is our year to do that, so we will be submitting it into the Teach portal for the state to review. It is on there right now. I will ask for your approval of that plan at some point, and then I will also make modifications should the state require it as we go on throughout this year. But I'll leave it up to you if you want to take any action on it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I don't know. Can everyone else hear? Okay.
Alright, that's okay. No, I think it's working well. I loved, like the district improvement and the focus area of like 23, 24. The long-term improvement strategy, especially the first part where it talked about like 1 and 2. Where it obviously it talked about like the multi-tiered system that you're establishing. Can we get a little more, like I love, so, trying to explain it well, sorry. 14, the bottom of 14, 15. So when you get into page 18, you break off into another section where you show kind of who's in charge of that area, and where you're getting that information is like the provider area. Which I would love to see, maybe, I don't know if you can do this or not, or if it's even, possible, but maybe almost add an area like that with 1 and 2, just to see the multi-tier system that you're discussing with, creating that section, that leadership, the students, the community, like, maybe just give me some more specifics on what multi-tier system you would have in place.
Okay, so you said page 13?
It's the bottom of 14 on mine.
Okay.
District improvement focus 1 and 2.
Yeah, we can go back and try to get a little bit more detail. Are you trying to look for detail on who's facilitating it?
Yeah, or just like what system that would you have in place for that? Like what would that include?
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
I like
It's
what you
an
wrote
internal
there.
process,
Okay.
not working with any external.
Yeah.
So we can still add to that.
Yeah, it can be generalized. You don't have to put specific names. You don't need to.
Yeah.
Do you understand the question?
I don't understand.
I
She-
don't understand it all. Yeah.
Can you try and help us?
No, because I'm terrible at this. But okay, so for 1 and 2, he's talking about a multi.
So what is 1 and 2? Why don't?
One is well, Mike, you explain it.
So a multi-support system is generally almost as if it's what it sounds like. So it's having multi-tiers in place, kind of like an RTI process or an IST team, student support team, to support students who are struggling, and the plans probably for each building as to how they are going out, filtering through, triaging. Like for example, we use an elementary level, we use iReady diagnostics 3 times per year. And iReady is one resource that we can use to decide and determine which students are struggling in certain components of instructional side. There might be also social emotional indicators that people look for at those same levels that would look at what students are struggling with on that side. Our principals would be looking at all those factors with their support teams, grade level teams, and then determining who needs, there we go, kicked in. Determines who needs additional support as a student, and then going through the progression of which tier they would be getting support in. Is it an in-class support with tier 1? Is it becoming, we have a resource that we need to have for students like AIS, or some more of an intervention that requires them to get pulled out of classes. So I think that what you're saying, Sherry, is just maybe a little bit more detail is like who's providing those services for kids.
Yeah, and what kind of multi-tier system would we have in place? That would make sense. you
So
know?
what are the diagnostic tests, for example, like
Yeah.
identity, getting into specifics
Well,
like that?
we're talking more social emotional. He's just using IRA so that you can understand kind of what, like how to correlate it.
So by 1 and 2, just to be by 1 is intentionally designing structures and
Yeah.
activities.
Yep.
So we didn't know where the beginning was.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And then 2 is the foster cultural,
So we didn't understand where the beginning was. We kind of jumped into the middle, so we needed the beginning to understand the end. So-
Yeah, so every,
So I understood that part, we didn't know where
Yeah.
she was. Okay.
so every building's a little different, and we'll break it down by building and discuss some of the different things. Like, for example, Sidway, I know he has the PATHS curriculum now,
Yeah,
they're
right.
using middle school as well,
Right,
that's
right,
another
right.
component.
And then how you will,
Right. High
because
school.
you even said you want to like review and see.
Yeah.
if it is-
Yeah, we can do a little more detail, and I said there's no rush to approve today.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, moving on to personnel instructional. If I could have a motion to approve instructional personnel PI 1 through PI 3, please.
No motion.
And a second? All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And I think we have an introduction.
Yeah.
Good evening again. I'd like it if Christina Heights could stand up, please. I'm going to read a little description for Christina. She's going to be the new AP over at the middle school. So Christina comes to us with over 10 years of teaching experience. This experience includes teaching at math at the middle school and the high school levels. And she has spent 2 years teaching online ESL. Most recently, she comes to us from Clarence High School, where she's been a math teacher. Christina graduated from Canisius in 2004 with a secondary education degree. She holds her first master's degree in school counseling and recently finished her educational leadership degree from Canisius as well. Born and raised in Lancaster, Christina now lives in Clarence with her husband Bill and their 3 children. With her extensive background in education and her commitment to student success, Christina is poised to be an invaluable asset to our school community. I have every confidence that she'll make a significant impact as our new assistant principal. And I look forward to working very closely with her this year to continue elevating the standards of excellence that we hold within this district. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Christina, our new assistant principal, and wishing her the best of luck this year.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It brings us to personnel non-instructional. If I could have a motion to approve PNI 1 through PNI 3, please.
No motion.
And a second?
Jay second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. That brings us to finance with Dr. Marco.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I have, to start off with 3 action items, or 3 items that I'm looking for action on. A is an obsolete equipment list from the high school. B is donations for books, and then C is a new lease agreement for the Deformity After School program with Just for Kids. Can I please get action on those 3 items?
Okay, motion for A through C, please.
No motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. Items D and E are informational, and then item F, we have a presentation tonight. We have Bruce Bastian joining us with a presentation. They are looking to do some renovation on the Radisson Hotel. They're looking to turn it into a multi-use space, and they're asking us to consider a 485A tax status on that project. So Bruce is here tonight to give us a little presentation about that project. So I will turn it over to Bruce. Bruce, can you hear us?
Before you put that over.
I can hear people better from the podium, but I can sort of make out what people are saying who are seated behind the table. So if if there are any questions, maybe someone can come to the podium and restate them so I can hear them.
Okay, I can do that, but Mrs. Marston has a question
I
for us.
just, why don't you review to the board so everybody is aware of what the 485A program is before we go into this presentation?
Okay, so a 485, it's a New York State program that offers a tax incentive for, in this case, a multi-use project. We've had presentations in the past for a 485B program, which is slightly different. That's just for business incentive use. This is a multi-use project, which includes some housing, so the 485 includes some housing. So basically what they're asking us to consider, and you can see it as part of the presentation. So for the first several years of the project, the tax base would just be based on the land value or the current market value of the property. And then as the improvements are made, there will be a deferment for, I believe it's the first 8 years. And then from years 9 through 12, it would slowly come in until to the full market value. And then after year 12, it would stay at that full market value.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody gets paid. Look, I'm one over. And 45.
All right, Bruce, I will turn it over to you, and I will go to the podium if there's any questions.
All right. Did everybody see that all right? Did everybody see that? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect, okay. Thank you, I appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. I'm going to try and move through this really quickly. I've been told that we don't want to go longer than 5 minutes. So I'm going to briefly explain what our project is and some of the benefits to the local community, but most of the time I want to spend talking about the 485A program, quick introduction to that, and then illustrate how 485A works and explain how it will not actually decrease the tax revenues to the school district, but will actually aid in increasing those tax revenues over time. It's a common misconception, so I want to be sure to explain that. So you're probably familiar with the Radisson Hotel. It's tired, it's an old hotel. There's been a lot of deferred maintenance in recent decades, especially to the exteriors and the grounds, and it's created somewhat of a blight in the community. And really, it's just a location that's no longer viable for a profitable hotel venture. This, as you know, most of the tourism hotels are closer to Niagara Falls, and this hotel just can't really compete with business travel where there's hotels, in business districts of Buffalo and surrounding community. So what we propose to do when we come in, the first things that you'll notice is a facelift, an update to the exteriors. But what I think is more important is what we plan to do inside of the building and in the rear of the building along the riverfront. So this goes from refurbishing the boat dock all the way to the actual hotel rooms themselves. So our plan is to really engage the waterfront with a restaurant, a high-end restaurant. Probably will be frequented most often by Grand Island residents. Provide great residential housing options for families and individuals. There will be event space for weddings, company parties, family reunions, the such. The boat dock, as I mentioned. But on the inside, there's going to be a huge fitness center that's going to be open to the public, again, frequented by the Grand Island residents more than anybody else. A co-working area, the pools, indoor and out, will be part of the fitness center that will be open to the public. And my favorite is that there's going to be an easement giving public access to the waterfront. This didn't exist when the hotel was running, but it's basically making a quarter mile of the Niagara River accessible to the public and in a space that everybody can really enjoy. So, bird's eye view, you can see the orange is the residential area. We've got the fitness center, the commercial space, and this boat dock. I'm really excited because besides people coming to the restaurant, by car. I can envision people on their boats tying up to the dock, coming into the restaurant, enjoying the beer garden, the waterfront, and then after they're done eating, taking off on the boats again. So it has the potential to become a really special place for the community. Getting into the 485A, this is a statewide program. It excludes New York City, but everywhere else, and it's promoting the modernization and rehabilitation of properties that are tired, run down, blighted, and that are in desperate need of revitalization and improvements. So requirements of the program are that there be a mix of residential and commercial uses, that there be at least 5 jobs created. Our project will easily meet those requirements. Now, how the exemption works, it's calculated as a percentage of the increased value. So that means the value of the property as it stands now, before our project comes in and makes any improvements, those taxes will continue to be paid. However, the additional taxes on top of that, so the new taxes that will come because of the increased value, because of the project, those will be deferred a number of years and then incrementally increase over time. So years 1 through 8, 100% of the new added value will be exempt from taxation. Year 9 through 12, it will increase by 20% increments all the way until you get to 100%, including all of the original taxable value and all of the new taxable value. And the way this looks, if you were to graph it out, the yellow line is what this is very approximate. This isn't supposed to be like a financial model level accuracy, but the yellow line shows what the property would be paying in taxes to the school district with no project, no improvements made. So over 30 years, we would expect to see the property to pay out about $5 million in taxes in today's dollars. The blue line is showing what the new property value and the new taxable, the tax revenues that would come from this property if our project were to go forward and we were able to make the improvements and increase the value of the property. This green line is the tax increment. So if you remember the table from the past, in the former slide, you've got 8 years where the taxes do not increase, and then you've got 5 years where they incrementally increase up to the new value. So if the project can move forward with the aid of a program like 485A, it will bring an additional $8.5 million. This is approximate estimate again, but $8.5 million additional dollars in taxes, whereas without the project, you'd only have $5 million. So a total of $13.5 million. It makes a huge difference to our project, and this is because, first of all, we have a situation where the hotel is.
Bruce, we have a couple questions here.
Oh yeah, sure.
Bruce, just to interrupt you right from the beginning. So if you didn't have the program and you went ahead with the project, what would the increase in the taxes be from year 1?
Can
I know you say we have.
Can someone repeat that question by the?
So
by the
my
podium?
question is.
Yes, it can.
So my question is, he says the potential, right? 8.5 million. But if we were to get 100% for our kids, day 1, to educate our children, by the way, that's our business. Day 1, what is the potential growth from day 1, not implementing this program through year 12?
So the question is, Bruce, from day 1, if we did not participate in the 485A program, including the project, what would the total tax amount be after the 30 years if we did not participate in the 485A?
And the project went through.
And the project
So-
went through.
So, partially to answer that question, I have to explain this situation, so if you can bear with me for a moment. The short answer is the property would generate about $5 million worth of taxes over the next 30 years if the 485A
Project.
The
program were not
question
in.
is, so basically the gap
This goes.
in front there where there is no green, what is that, the dollar value on that gap there?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't actually calculate that. I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize.
So,
But-
just to
But
clarify,
what we
Joe's question,
have
so,
kind of a-
Wait,
Oh, we have
Can-
another
can we-
question, Bruce.
so to rephrase the question, so you have not computed the savings that you will get from getting the benefit of the 485A program?
So a clarifying
Yeah,
question, Bruce.
I didn't, sorry, I did hear that one. I didn't go ahead and compute that because it's questionable whether or not the project can move forward without this incentive program. So if, without the incentive program, the level of repairs that this hotel is needing, so the roof is leaking everywhere and it's $1 million to fix the roof. We've got mold infestation all over the place because of the leaky roof. We've got asbestos cleanup that's $2 million. So we have these huge hurdles that we have to get over just to get the project to a place where it can be improved upon. But since we purchased the hotel in December, we have the economic situation has drastically worsened. We've got inflation, which is pushing up the price of labor and materials, and then the big clobbering hammer for us has been the interest rates that have increased. So that's increased the cost of financing the project, not just our project, but projects all across the state, all across the nation. These increased financing costs because of the increased interest rates make this huge gap that's insurmountable to get across, and unless there's some sort of incentive programs that can help us bridge that gap. So to answer the question, if we don't get the financing, we're still not sure how we're going to bridge that gap. We're looking for ways to do that. But if we do get the financing or the break in the taxes for the increased value that we want to create, I can say that the overall impact to the tax revenues for the school district will be increased by our project.
so Bruce, I just want to ask while we're here, what incentives have you asked the town for, and where else are you looking for incentives from? I like the way that you kind of use it as a loan, or where you're getting financing from the school to finance a project, right? We're all here, I just want to remind you that as a board and as a school district, we are here to educate our children, right? So I'm interested in what the town is doing to finance, in your words, this project, and what other institutions or avenues you are researching to finance, your words, not mine, or incentives you are looking at besides the education of our students here at Redmond.
Mm-hmm. I believe I heard the question. So the answer is 485A includes participation from the town, from the school district, from fire, from police, so the county. So basically everybody is contributing. So their property taxes. Sorry, not contributing. That's wrong. Everybody opts in. So the town is willing to opt in. These other players are willing to opt in. The school district accounts for over half of the property taxes that are collected each year. So you guys are kind of the biggest, most influential player. The second part of your question, I believe you're asking what other incentives or programs are we looking to. So there are programs around energy efficiency. There are programs around bringing in renewable energy like solar panels and electric vehicle charging. There are some other programs offered by the county where we can get some reductions in sales tax for materials that are used. So there are many players that we're going to try and bridge the gap that I was explaining. But it just so happens to be that 485A is the biggest one of those, and the school district is the biggest player in that program.
So our residents not only, have to wait, it's our tax dollars, both out of our town taxes and our school taxes?
I couldn't hear her. Could someone repeat it?
She said, so for the residents, it would be them flipping the bill on their town taxes and on the school taxes.
It would be doing what now? For the residents, it would be flipping a bill, is that what you said?
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah,
giving you a ride while we pay our county and town taxes. And at a time where all of those expenses that are going up for you, our bills are going up too, right? Our residents are looking for a deal on their taxes, both on a town level and school level as well.
Correct. Yeah, I wasn't saying that those increases in costs were only impacting our project. I was just trying to explain why this project is not able to move forward in its current status, in the current economic situation, and how if we can get participation of both the school district and the town and the county, that we can overcome this hurdle, create value in the community, and then over time increase the taxes that the school district will receive. But if the project doesn't happen, then it's just the status quo, it's just the yellow.
So quick question, are you still currently in your due diligence phase of your project?
No, we purchased it in December, right before things went really crazy.
So during your due diligence phase of the contract prior to closing, did you or your company, whoever is the actual buyer, did they order any type or look at any type of appraisal of what the property would be valued at as improved with the improvements that you proposed, and then contact the tax assessor to see what the estimated tax would have been? So I think that's the question, is really, you kind of know what your project's gonna be, you're showing us, and there's an estimated cost. And at that time, whether it was your architecture company or whether it was doing your due diligence phase, there would have been some sort of cost. And then taking that to the town and saying, okay, the value, the estimated fair market value of the property is going to be X. What would be our estimated taxes? And it wouldn't be definite, it would just be at least you can get a basis, and that basis would have been something you could have brought to us. So we would know really what the tax amount would be if we decide that this is not going to work.
I think I understood your question correctly. You were asking, did we look at what the tax basis would be, if our project didn't go forward, and then did we compare that with what the tax basis would be, or the new valuation of our project or the property would be if our project moved forward?
Correct, there should have been some sort, I'm assuming, when you develop the plans, what the final cost would be, what the estimated fair market value of the property would be, and then a call or inquiry would be made to the town tax assessor to determine if this is the value, what would be the estimated tax without exemption?
Yeah, so the easy answer is what additional value would be created, because the assessor just looks at, well, how much money did you spend on building out these new apartments and updating the site, and we will add that to the original value, and that's kind of how they do it. The way that the hotel value was calculated is a little bit different, just because the revenues of a hotel are usually higher than.
That's why I was asking if an appraisal was done. Because
Yeah,
they won't just really look, when you do assessments,
talk
it's
with
not just
the
what was
assessor
spent.
and go through those numbers.
You did? You did speak with the assessor?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the estimated value? And because that's how you would get your estimated tax, and that's what I think what the board is looking at is if this does not go through, what is the tax that you would be paying?
So I don't have those numbers with me, but we did use them to determine whether or not we think this project makes sense and whether or not it can move forward. I don't know them off the top of my head, but it's basically what we think it's going to cost to build it, or not build it, but do the conversion. That's the new value, and the old value is it was valued at one point as a hotel differently than what it is currently valued now as just an idle structure.
I just wasn't sure if the appraisal would show, because it indicates the property is going to be used for mixed use. So your value would be a little bit different due to the mixed use as opposed to net prior of being a hotel.
Yeah, I think they will be taking, the way that they calculate, I'm sorry, I'm not a tax expert, but the way that they calculate the commercial portion of the project is different than how they will calculate the residential portion of the project.
So the next question I have is, you keep indicating if the project moves forward. You did close and you actually hold title to the property, correct?
Correct.
And are you in the process of obtaining financing? And as part of your financing, you need to reduce your overall tax basis for your financing to be approved or for your financing to move forward?
That is correct. So we are in the process of going through financing, and these new interest rates have spooked investors on the equity side,
Sure.
and then has also made debt more expensive on the loan side of things. So we're looking for, we're trying to be as creative and as scrappy as possible to keep the deal moving forward and keep it alive and viable. But if we can come back and show investors, look, the cities or the town is working with us, the school district is working with us, we're gonna get these tax breaks for the first 8 years and then incrementally start paying even more taxes after that. That will then change the returns that an investor can then expect and make them decide to put their money in this Grand Island project versus the stock market or some other project elsewhere. But that's kind of the game, is trying to get the returns to a level that will attract the capital to the project and make them want to invest in this community. And then we just have to pay the price of debt, to the banks, just whatever the market rate is going, we have to find a way to make that work. So does that answer your question?
Somewhat.
I have a question. Is there any way you could send Dr. Graham or Dr. Merkel a chart of the value of the hotel versus the value of the idle structure versus the value of the projected value of the idle mixed-use property, so we could kind of see in a chart, so it would be very succinct for the board to show, the value of what the hotel is now, what the hotel was, the value of the hotel as an idle structure, and then the value, once it becomes a mixed-use property, what it's expected to be, and then this way you could put into some idea of what the taxes would be on that and what.
Yeah, actually, I just got a text message. Somebody is listening in and shared these numbers with me. So the current value is around 2 million, and the new value is going to be 26 million.
The value of what?
The value as
Of the
improved,
property.
26 million? That 26 million is as a mixed-use property then, as improved?
Yeah, so 26 million is the improved property
Okay.
as we're projecting, right? Nobody knows the future 100% for sure. And then the current value, as recently assessed by the Grand Island assessor, was $2 million.
So I guess what we're looking at is if the as improved value is 26 million, what would be that increase in tax amount?
So the 24 million then would it be that we're,
And break it down into actual, what is going to be paid in property taxes, which is what he doesn't have.
Yeah, I could definitely go look at the mill rates and run those numbers, and I can send it over to Bob. Would be happy to do it. But I mean, just generally speaking, if you're going from a value of 2 million to 26 million, you have the potential of increasing the property taxes by a magnitude of 10.
So the next question I have, sorry, you indicate that if you're unable to get this, your project may not move forward, but you've already closed on the property. So I guess the question I have is then what happens to this property if your project is unable to move forward? Since you already own it.
What will probably happen is that they always say in a financial crisis, which we're kind of experiencing here, especially in real estate, you're stuck with the buildings, right? They're not going anywhere, but you can get new ownership. So it's possible that a new buyer could come and take over the project if this project were to go bankrupt and we were to fail. What they would then do with that, I would say with pretty high surety they would not do a new hotel just because it's not a viable location for a hotel operation at this point. But they would probably be looking at the same economic scenarios that we're looking at. Maybe the interest rates will come down and the cost of financing will come down, but there's no telling exactly, you know, would they come in and try to do affordable housing? Would they come in and try to do luxury housing? You know, what their models are going to show them is hard to say, but they would be dealing with the same economics that we're dealing. They would probably end up needing to seek out the same incentive programs that we would be seeking to, that we're seeking out right now. But one thing I can say for sure is the amount of time that the property is sitting idle will be decreased if we're able to move forward, because right now we're having issues with people breaking in, the roof is continuing to leak, making the mold worse, so it's just kind of a ticking time bomb where it's getting more and more expensive to fix the issues needed to bring the property to a level where you can start making improvements. And so it's going to be more and more expensive as time goes on to revitalize the project versus if we do it now and get it taken care of sooner rather than later.
I just want to say one thing to that. I mean, I understand where your ask is coming from. You know, we're all experiencing the same thing as we're trying to run our own households, right? All our taxes, putting food on the table, all of that. We're all having the same issues on a smaller scale, right? So you can understand, you know, the cost of the education for our children is more expensive every year, and we run
Yes.
with the taxes, right? And we make cutbacks every year. So with that, you know, have you looked at scaling down your project and part by part, right? Like, nobody in here is going to argue that your building's not dilapidating. Some of us have that issue at home, right? And that this is a great idea for Grand Island. So to come in here and tell you this is a great project for Grand Island, yes it is. But we still have the finances for our school district that have to come first. We're all dealing with economic problems, and the school board is here to educate children first. Okay? Have you looked at a different way to do your project? And to sit there and say to us, wow, we own the property, we're not gonna do a project. It's kind of feeling forceful to us, right? You're coming here for an ask. I shouldn't feel pressured into doing it.
Yeah, I don't mean to.
So
to
my
pressure,
ask
I
is,
apologize.
have you
That's how it
looked at
sounded.
a different way to complete your project? And not do it in its entirety? Because we're all experiencing this, right?
Yeah.
I have an addition that's kind of stopped on my house right now because of interest rates and the cost of plywood and 2x4s, right? I stopped my project too, right? So I appreciate what you're going through on a high scale, but have you looked at doing it differently?
We have looked at doing it differently. We've looked at varying we've looked at varying approaches to make this work. And this what we have shown to you today is currently the best option for attracting the capital that we need to attract. I personally have 2 kids in school. I know what it's like to struggle with a household. I'm currently in the same situation that way. And I hope that my presentation isn't coming across as, participate in this program or else, because that's not the intent, and that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is we want to make this project work. We obviously have a big incentive in doing so because we've already taken out a huge loan to purchase the property. We, our names are on the checks and on the contracts, and so we're the ones who get beat up if it doesn't work out. But we still have to attract the capital from investors, and we still have to make things pencil out economically with the new rates that loans cost because of the current economic situation. So it's not like we can say, we want to be mean to Grand Island residents or to the school district because they're not giving us what we want. We're just trying to be transparent with you and show you the difficult situation that we're dealing with given the economy where it's at. And we believe, we honestly and genuinely believe that this project can be a great asset to the community and can become a beautiful place, and that it can eventually, starting 8 years from now, can start paying even more taxes than it's currently paying. But we still can't force investors to give us money unless we can show them that we're going to be able to give them the returns that they demand in order to make it worthwhile investing in Grand Island rather than elsewhere. Does that make sense? We're between a rock and a hard place. We're facing the economic realities of the times, just as every household and every family is. But we're asking for participation in this program so that we can help create a better place in the community for everyone, but also over time increase the amount of taxes that the school district is going to be able to receive from this property at least.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions?
I just have a brief question. So does participation in the, can you hear me okay?
Yes, a little louder, but yeah, I can hear you.
So if there is participation in the program, what is the estimated timeline for the project to be in place? And does that mean participation in the program yields that the project's going to be completed?
Can someone repeat what she said by the podium? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it very well.
Yeah, so the question was, if there is participation in the program, what is the estimated timeline of the project? And if does the participation in the program yield that the project will be completed?
Yeah, so the participation in the program will kick off kind of a chain reaction where we'll be able to then show in our financial models that we will have this break from higher taxes for the first 8 years, and then that will change what returns we're able to show, and we can then take that to the different groups that we're talking to interest them in investing in this project. And that could happen as quickly as a matter of months, which would then enable us to put our architects to work, have the money to put our architects to work on construction drawings. And that process takes about 4 months, 4 to 6 months. And then once that's done, get the permits from the city. Mike O'Connor was in the audience, maybe he can speak to whether or not we have our construction permits. But once construction starts, that process takes about 12 to 14 months. And then we would be seeking our certificate of occupancy, which I'm not sure how long that usually takes in Grand Island, but that can be weeks to months, and then we can start bringing people in for lease up to move into the apartments, have a restaurant operator there working, an event coordinator for the event space, fitness center, etc. I mean, we're talking to these people, they're just kind of waiting for things to be financed, really.
I understand. I'd say that you should get us more information. There's some questions that we have here that are outstanding. It would be helpful if you provided us more data and the comparison in the numbers.
So
Can someone repeat her question?
She said it would be helpful for the board to have more data and better comparison of the numbers that you're proposing for this project.
Yeah, can I work with Bob on that? I would be happy to provide all the information that you guys would like to see.
I know you were speaking about your investors, and you said you currently have a mortgage on the property that you used to acquire the parcel? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So your investors, are they private individuals, not institutional lending, that will be providing the financing for the improvements? Is that correct?
Not necessarily. So the people who have signed their names to the current mortgage are local residents in the Buffalo area. But who brings, that 26 million that is needed to finish the whole project? Sorry, that's total. That's not just the equity. But that can come from an institutional source. That can come from a high net worth individual. There are groups that we are working with to help us raise that money, and there are, they have their networks that they work with. So it's basically a matter of making the project reach the numbers that are required for somebody to feel like the risk is worth putting their money into it. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And then, does this project qualify for any type of state or federal assistance, EC, IDA, SBA, anything like that could help offset your costs?
Yes, there are some programs that we are applying for. For example, the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot in that piece of legislation that this type of a project qualifies for. So we are seeking after those incentives as well. It's all kind of a big puzzle piece. This is a large piece of the puzzle. Many different pieces need to come together. That's just kind of the headache that is development.
So you do have some sort of assistance that you are applying for in the works, is what you're indicating? To
Yes,
help
yeah.
offset the cost?
We're turning every stone for sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other additional questions?
I have a question, Bob. Can you help me collect all of the questions or requested data that the board would like us to put together, and then you and I can collaborate on getting answers to all of those questions and getting all the numbers that they need?
Absolutely, I can take care of that. So, thank you very much for the presentation, Bruce.
Yeah, thank you for the time and for the consideration. I hope we can bring something special to your community.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to special education with Cheryl.
Great, I have 2 action items for CSC programs and also CPSC programs, please.
Okay.
A and B.
Motion for A and B, please. And the second? All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0, and that brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Graham.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I know we have some students in the audience, so some of you will have to leave before 9 to get home, so we'll do our best to expedite the remainder of our agenda. But I just wanted to share with the board, you've seen some of these pictures already, just the opening of school. Our last board meeting was September 5th, and of course we were getting ready for staff development days. And as we moved through the programs and our guest speakers, it was really a great opening of the school year. And we had Mike Shope as one of our keynote speakers. And we did a lot of celebrating and reminding everybody that we're here to inspire all students to achieve their greatest potential. So it was a really great opening. We thank everybody for all of their contributions. Here's some photos of kids coming off the bus at Sidway, and how excited they were to get into school. So lots of celebrations, lots of great things happening over the last few weeks. Of course, sports is going really well. Kaido McGee received some outstanding recognition in the Buffalo News as one of the top 10 of their game. So congratulations to Kaido. He's one of our boys soccer players. We have our own Mary Howard as published in a book, Artificial Intelligence to Streamline Your Teacher Life, the ChatGPT Guide for Educators. She's getting a lot of recognition, and this book is on Amazon and other places, and we're very proud of her and the work that she has done. Cheryl, I know, is going to talk in roundtable about the youth mental health first aid training that occurred for teachers and nurses and counselors and social workers and our administrators who will be leading the training of as turnkey trainers. So I know Cheryl will update us on that. It was really great to see Mike Antonelli invite Jan Richardson in to do some live demonstrations of her work. It was well received, and I know that there were a lot of teachers that came even from a different district to learn from Jan. So I thank Mike for organizing that. And of course, as everybody knows, John has retired, John Roth, and Brett Banker has taken over. And we're so grateful to John for all that he's contributed to our school district. And just everything else is going pretty well. We're still running our podcast, Inspiring Viking Values, so make sure you listen on your favorite podcast platform. This Saturday we have a special event, we're calling it a drive-in sign, but that's really not exactly what's happening, but people who are interested in becoming bus drivers can test drive a bus at the Transportation Center. We've done this a year ago. It's a really great event. If you've ever had any interest in learning and becoming a bus driver, we have this special event. And Teresa and Mike Gloria have worked with 97 Rock, and I think there will be an on-air personality here around 10:30 that morning to broadcast on their networks all the good things that are happening and why people should consider being a bus driver here in our district. Don't forget, we do have a Viking tip line, so feel free to go to our website. If you're unable to talk to a trusted adult, you can go to the Viking tip line to share information that keep others safe, and you can always email the board at boegi@gicsd.org. Are there any questions about any of those slides or information shared today? All right, thank you, Ashley.
Brian, can I just add that each of the board members has a copy of Brian in their books, so there's one slide for yourself, Brian Hedler. So if that was left for you, so we talked about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the Board of Education report. Our first item to discuss are cameras on buses. I know that we had someone speak at our last board meeting for the public comment session regarding individuals going by buses when the red lights are on. And at one point we discussed cameras, not on the interior of the buses, but on the extending arms of the bus cameras to be able to detect people that are going through, the red stop sign for buses when potentially when children are getting on and off the buses, which creates quite a dangerous situation for our students. And I just wanted an update on bus cameras and if those could be installed.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Yep.
So over a year ago, Teresa, myself, Ruby met with John Whitney and members of his team to talk about stop arm bus cameras. And those bus cameras, there are various vendors who would work with the school district and give free bus stop arm bus cameras, which are located on the outside of the bus and keep track of license plates that run the red lights when the stop sign is out. We do have a follow-up meeting this Wednesday with the town to further that conversation. You need the town and the school to work in collaboration to make this happen, because I believe the town would have to be the agent to send out citations to individuals who run the stop sign on the bus. So it's a little bit complicated, but we do have a meeting this Wednesday.
Brian, can you get other examples of other districts that may have done that? I'm sure that they probably will.
Yeah, I think Niagara Falls is pretty close, if they haven't already done it. But I know that Niagara Falls was moving in that direction if they haven't done it.
We don't know anybody who's locally done it at the moment.
Not outside of Niagara Falls, yeah.
So Buffalo does not.
I don't believe they have an active program. They might, I'm not sure.
Is there a way to survey the superintendent groups to see?
Yeah, and Also speaking with the person who is kind of the mediator between the town and the district, his name is Sam Hoyt, and he's a consultant and works with vendors that do this work.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. If you just keep us updated on how that goes, it would be
Yes.
appreciated. Does anyone have any other questions about, or questions or comments on the bus cameras? All right, moving on to an update on vape detectors. I know this has been something that we included in this year's budget to install vape detectors at the high school and at the middle school. Obviously, it's been, I guess you could call it a passion of mine for the last 7 years, before vaping was even as large of a problem as I would guesstimate it is here and in every school district in Western New York. It's probably a huge problem. So I just wanted an update on the installation and timeline for those vape detectors at our middle and high schools.
Sure, thank you, Ashley. Dr. Merkel, I know you've been working closely with Josh and the company that's going to do the work. Maybe you can share your update.
Correct, absolutely. So the purchase orders have been issued, the equipment is actually here for those, the vape detection equipment is here. We're waiting on an install date, so we moved the installation to second shift, so it wouldn't disrupt the school day. So I think the vendors having a little bit of an issue getting people to work that second shift. So they're working on a date. Josh followed up with them a couple times last week, so hopefully we will have that answer very soon. But as I said, all the equipment's here, so we expect it to be installed in the very near future.
I'm guessing you probably have ideas in place too of what happens when students are caught vaping. I know we do have students vaping now, obviously not as many as we probably will. We have the vape detectors, but.
Yeah, I may have missed your question.
So I guess you probably already talked about how you will respond to the vape detectors, and then we currently have students who I know we've caught vaping, so we've been given the numbers of students, and then I know that you had a program in place for students that are vaping, and will that continue with?
Sure, yeah. And even now, without the detectors in place, our high school and middle school have a procedure. Obviously, there are consequences for students, and part of those consequences involve an educational component. I think Hillary did share that in the past. So with the new detectors, they'll be in the middle school and the high school, and we will definitely continue to report to the board, you know, how much of that data is percolating, and what's happening in the buildings to help curb and help children have better choices.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. And then did anyone have any other questions or comments on vape detectors before I move on?
I think your question was just how they're gonna respond, like I had seen it when I worked at the other schools, and I know it can be a little daunting for the administrators, I guess, when they go off. So I guess just having a plan in place for them so that they're not overwhelmed with as they're going off and obviously running school.
Yes, yeah, it's an excellent point. I think we both were saying the same thing. Internally, we do have some ideas when the detectors are installed and on how the administrators will respond to those alerts.
Yeah, and there was a great article too in the Buffalo News, I think it's in the Buffalo News, about the Maryvale. I don't know if anyone saw it, about the Maryvale vape detectors and how effective they've been there. So that was just in the past week. And it's a nice write-up too about Maryvale and their vape detectors that I want to take a look at. It was very interesting. They credit the vape detectors with really helping with overall. So
that's what we wish would happen.
So if there's nothing else, I'll move on to an update on, I know we have a company that we contract for grant writing, so I just wanted to get an update on how that's going.
Sure. Dr. Marco, I know that you work closely with the Rotella Group, and maybe you can share some data from the work that they've done for us.
Absolutely. So they provided me an update on, so some of the stuff we've already been awarded. There was a seedling program, archive program that Jude is working on. There's 3 different FEMA projects that they worked with us on. One of them was a big one due to COVID. There was a snow removal project relating to the last winter storm. We actually just received those funds on Friday, about $15,000. And then there's another project also relating to that storm that we're just wrapping up. They also worked with Ms. Cardone on a Peter and Elizabeth Tower Foundation grant for mental and behavioral health. And then, so those are grants that we've already been awarded. And then some things that they are working on now is a Toshiba STEM grant. The scope is Florio Virtual Learning Program. They are looking into several different electric school bus grants for us. And then they are also looking into some grants for some tech ed, some machinery for our tech ed program to update some of the machinery down there for those guys.
What was the one after Toshiba STEM grant that you mentioned?
So the scope of that Toshiba STEM grant that they're looking into is Florio Virtual Learning Program.
So we have it right, actually, Redfin is using it right now, it's in the life students, social skills, so virtual reality, students, social skills, and this would just be to expand that program. Right now it's using it in 3 different classrooms throughout the district, and this would help fund expand that program.
Okay, and the Peter and Elizabeth Tower one, was that the sustaining partnerships grant for the 40,000 that was just due, or?
Yes, the Tower Foundation grant, is what helped us, we didn't get the entire $40,000, but it helped us fund the value to means
Okay.
middle school last year, and then partially this school year as well.
Okay.
I can send you this whole summary.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. So then moving on, did anyone have any other questions on the update on the grant awards and the grant writer programs? Okay. And then we have Sue Marston with the Payline PTA report.
I don't really have anything to report, but I did want to say that for a great start, they've got a lot of programs in place. They're working on their book fair, sportswear, Apple Day. What's that?
The fun run.
Oh yeah, the fun run. Good fun run. And at the end of the meeting, I did get to go on a little tour, and I got to see that the orchestra closet is now an actual orchestra room. So we'll have to make sure when we have our meeting at Kagabine that we get to see the orchestra closet is now an actual storeroom. So that was really exciting to see. I got to get a sneak peek. So yeah, it's always exciting to be at the PTA meetings.
Great.
That's all.
Okay, moving on to public comment session. General items not included in this agenda. We did not have anyone sign up for that. So that brings us to committee of the whole. Items, information for the roundtable, beginning with Glenn.
I got nothing.
Sherry.
Just thankful for a great start to the school year. My son is having a blast, and my daughter is also, so thank you guys for all your work.
And Jay.
He says peace.
Jude. Sue.
I'm all set, thanks.
Danielle. Mike.
I'm all set. Welcome, Christina. Excited to have you.
Cheryl.
Yep, welcome Christina, we're glad to have you as well. As Dr. Graham said, I am updating very quickly about youth mental health first aid. There were 12 of us that went through a 3-day long training, 8 to about 4:30 for 3 days. Our last day, we actually had to be vetted and actually teach the lesson by ourselves, even though we teach everybody else that will be up there. And we were graded on that for our presentation. So, all 12 of us passed, thank you very much. And I'd like to thank John Fitzpatrick today because he spearheaded a meeting with the 12 of us over at Kagabine Elementary School. And we are starting to put together our plan for training everyone in the district over the next 2 years. Our first trainings will roll out on November 7th. I think, John, we talked about training about 125 or more people at that time.
125 to 150.
Right, with our 12 people, that are now trainers. Information on that will be forthcoming. And when John and I spoke afterwards today too, again, we would like to invite any of the board members that are here. If you would like to join us for any of these trainings, the first one will be November 7th. It's 2 hours of pre-work, 3 hours, at that time as well. Please let John and I know. Now, it doesn't have to be November 7th because we will be having many more trainings. But if you'd like to join, please let us know. Come on, Bill. Okay. All right, anything else I'm missing, John?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Joy, did you have anything for roundtable? All set. Dr. Merkel?
The only thing I wanted to mention was, we are looking at some recruitment efforts for our bus drivers. As we are all aware, we are facing a shortage on bus drivers as many districts are around the area. So Brian and I have been tossing around some ideas with, other people, but, just want to let you guys know we are working on it, starting with the driving sign event this Saturday coming up. So, definitely putting some work into that and wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Dr. Grimm?
And just briefly, I want to thank a parent in our community who sent me an email this morning about the wireless emergency alert system that'll be activated on October 4th at or around 2:20 p.m. So that is just important information that we'll communicate out to families. What it means is that through FEMA, the wireless emergency alert will send out a text alert that may also have an audio sound to every cell phone in the United States. So just imagine when our high school is getting ready and middle school is getting ready to get on buses, there could be a lot of cell phones going off with alerts and audible. So we're going to do our best to communicate to families that this is a thing that's happening. It's obviously just a test. So I just want to make sure. And I do want to thank that parent who did share that with me. And lastly, starting in October, many of our students will be engaged in a Vikings Care initiative. Just to give you an idea, right away in October, young children in our elementary schools all the way up through high school will be engaged in various Viking Cares initiatives like helping at the Golden Age Center, helping at Beaver Island State Park, helping at Buckhorn State Park, writing letters to veterans, writing letters to individuals in nursing homes, and so on and so forth. So we're very proud of our teachers and their principals who are working together to facilitate this Vikings Care initiative. Thank you.
I love that service learning opportunity. That is great. Thank you, Dr. Graham. Just a couple notes about upcoming board meetings. Tuesday, October 10th, the meeting will be held on a Tuesday at Charlotte Sidway Elementary School. That will be our next meeting. And then November 6th, we will be at Hughes Road Elementary School. That is it. So with that, I'd like to request a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:54 p.m. All right, and the second? All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Good night, everyone.
Students can come up and get their agenda signed.
Come on up. You can go to anyone at the table.